So you guys asked how to edit these data points inline and being able to cancel and being able to validate when we edit. So that's what we're going to be working on today. So we're going to add a little button here. So right now when I make changes, there's no going back. Like let's say, ooh, I don't like the change I made, cancel. We don't have a cancel button, so we're going to add that. Right now we just have save. So we're going to add a cancel button, and also what happens if I do a bad email here? Oh, whoa, it lets me. So we're going to add validation as well to this. That way we're covered. Now before we begin with this, I'm a little annoyed that these are all spaced out, so we're going to squish these together real quick. So you can leave it as is if you don't want them squished, but in table I have a table row and where icons are, and I'm just going to put them in the same column. And then down here I'm just going to get rid of one of the header columns because we don't need it if we only have one here. Okay, cool. So now these are together and we have a little bit more room here. So the way we're going to do this is actually create our form. Our form right here is basically what we want right here, right? We want the exact same thing but inline. So we're going to create a new form component called Inline Form.js, and I'm going to copy and paste this. It's going to be almost an exact copy of this form, except we're going to tweak things so it works right here for what we want. And so on our table, the only thing we're going to change is this. So see how we were checking whether it was, come back up here, whether we are currently editing, and then we would display different things. So doing it this way is fine, but we're going to do it a slightly different manner. So notice how we are displaying the whole row. While doing this, we're actually just going to pass the row off to our inline form to handle this. So up here we're going to say currently editing. If so, we display it inline form. Otherwise we display a table row format. So I'm going to import our inline form from inline form. And the reason I am creating a new form is because our handle change affects the actual state, and we want to basically create a buffer, and we're going to create a buffer state in our inline form. So the changes that we affect there could just be removed if we don't want them. Alternatively, we could keep like a record of what the last value was before we start editing and revert back to that, but I thought this would be a little bit simpler. So we're just gonna like do this in a different manner. So right now we're conditionally rendering this text field, so I'm going to remove that. I'm going to pass it over here because we're going to be doing something like this. Put it there for now. So we don't need to conditionally render. We just need to show the prop, and then our table row here. Since don't need to make this check, we can just do this and show the edit icon. So we're going to show the edit icon and the check icon. Stop editing is a function. We're going to pass that to our inline form. It's going to handle that. So stop editing. And we're not going to worry about that with our check icon. Okay, so we're going to move the check icon over to our inline form. We're going to use it over there. We're also going to be using some of our table stuff, so we're going to copy our table over here. And we don't need table body, header, just the rows and columns, because we're going to create our rows in here. Alright, so this looks good. So I also want to pass in basically the current item that we're editing, which is X. So this guy can have it. So we're going to pass in the header, because you notice how we map over the header to display this. We're going to map over the header in our form as well. And then here, oops, we're also going to pass in our x, because x is the actual data point. And then I believe we had a submit. I guess our stop editing saved. We have this handle change. We're now going to create a new thing called basically handle save. Handle save. Handle save. So basically we can either stop editing or handle, basically save the values that we create in our inline form. And so we don't need a handle change anymore. We just want handle save. And so we need to change that here. Handle save. And then we're passing it down here. Handle save. And what we're gonna pass to handle save, so handle save is just the row that we want to change. So handle change, so we're now just going to do the index I and then also x. So x is our data point or our row. We could just say row. And instead of doing this, we can just pass in and I'm just going to say x since we're using row already. So x. So what is our, this should be handle, oops, I accidentally closed that. Handle save. So for a handle save, we're going to map over all our rows, and once we find the row that we want to save, so we're checking it's the index we have here versus the one we're iterating against, so we check. If we do, we want to pass in our new row, which we get here. Otherwise, we just grab the row that we have when we're mapping over, because we're not changing it. So our handle save, our stop editing is fine. We now just need to do our inline form here. So we did these errors, which is nice, I suppose, but we're gonna do it slightly differently now. So I'm gonna group the errors and the values together. So I'm gonna create a values, and I'm gonna put all my values in there. And then for my errors, I'm going to group those as well, get rid of that, put them here, give that a save. So now whenever I want to submit, all I have to do is pass in the values. Now the form can have some default values, so we're going to have to use a constructor. Props, super props, this is just the default structure of a constructor, and then we're going to say this.state, and that's what we're going to actually create the state up here. So instead of initializing to blank values, we're always going to have some values, so we're going to do ... props.x, and we just need to do an equal sign. I believe it's x is what we need to be grabbing. Just to make sure, let's look at our table real quick. We don't need this form anymore. So x is the data point that we're grabbing, and we're grabbing here. Yep, we're grabbing the prop from that. So I believe just spreading that, and I'm just going to console.log props.x to make sure we do this correctly when we do this. Change is fine. No, it's not. So our change function, we now need to update our values. And I like to do this a little bit differently now, where I get the name and the value from this e.target, just destructuring it. So I have name and then value like that. And we have to keep all the other values. So I'm going to do ... I could do this .state.values, but we can pass in the state to our function like so. And so we can just do state.values. So we keep our current values and we add the updated value here for change. Validate looks fine, except we don't need to prepend the word errors to everything, or the word error to everything. So grab that. We don't need error, and we don't need error. So this .set state, I don't need to keep doing it like that. I can just set my errors like so. So our errors object we grab here, we're going to set it with a new one. So on submit, we're going to validate that looks good. This props.onSubmit, clearing the form. To clear the form, we're going to be doing it differently. Or we don't even need to clear the form if there's not an error. We're just going to call our, so we'll get rid of this guy. We need to pass in our index to this as well. So we have, what are we calling inline? I keep losing my place. Here we go. So I'm just going to pass I in here to our inline form. So now when I call handle save in there, we need to pass I and X. So we don't have to clear the form. We're just going to call this .props .handle save, passing this .props .I, and then our data, which is this .state .values. So those are the new values. And then handle save will automatically, I believe, handle save here. We then will call this .stop editing after we update. Alright, so this looks good up here. We can now get this stuff working down below. And the way we're going to do that is basically copy this layout here, and we're going to map over it. So in our render function, we have we have headers, not headers. Was it header? Yep, we're passing the header and then X are the two ones we're going to use. Header, comma, X from this .props. So we don't need any of this form junk. We really just want to do this. And then here we're going to display our text field. So paste that sucker in. And so we call it change, and y.prop is good. We can just pass in this .change. We don't need to pass create a lambda right now. So y.prop, good. I believe this is all good. We might have to do some debugging with this. I'm going to get rid of this form thingy. We don't need it. The value though is going to be equal to this .state.values, and then what was it, x.yprop. So that's going to be this .state.values y.prop. Give this a save. Table row. We have a table row. Let's see what our errors are. Oh, no closing tag. Table row. Cool. So the icons that we want to show are a check icon that we had above. So a check icon, and then for a check icon, we just want to call handle save. And that's this handle save. And then instead of a trash icon, we're going to have a cancel icon. And the cancel icon we're going to use is, I just went to material icons and search cancel, so we'll use this one, but you can use any icon you prefer. So copy this cancel icon, and that's a navigation / cancel. Come down here at the bottom. Instead of handle remove, we're just going to call this .props and we want to cancel the save, so we just want to stop editing. I believe that's called stop editing. Yep, stop editing. Subprops.stop editing. Give that a save. The name is the yprop. On change, we're calling on change. Okay, let's take a look at this, see what errors we have. I think this is very close. I is not defined in inline.form. Oh, right here. This is going to be this. We can grab I from our props. There we go. Okay, so now when I hit this pencil, I correctly see the check and then the X. It looks a little funky over here, so we have something odd. I'm going to hit the cancel. Looks like nothing happened. That's good. I want to see if I got any errors. We need to add a key prop. So key, we're adding a key here. So which one does not have a key? This is going to be table 30. Or inline form here. That's just going to be inline form dash I. Okay. So the thing that I thought was odd is when I hit this little icon, we pushed all over, which makes me think that our inline form looks different. I guess selectable, we have to say false. So we're doing that. I don't need the key here because we already have the key over there. I'm not sure why it pushes over like that in our table row. Table row column. Worry about that in a second. Let's make sure everything else works. So the way we're doing it is we're validating for errors, so let's make sure that works. So if I hit the pencil, and for example I get rid of the email, hit my check mark, okay, very good. We see it doesn't let us submit it, but it doesn't show the error, and that's because I'm not showing the errors here. So error text, I believe, is what you pass, and that's just going to be this.state.errors y.prop, and that'll grab the error for that prop. So pencil, get rid of this, hit check, and nothing happens. So I'm just going to console.log this.state.errors, see if we're getting any errors, and let's just take a look at how it's working. In our on submit, we validate if there's not errors. Otherwise, we should be setting them because I see this dot set stay here. Okay, pencil, remove, save. Nope. I'm guessing. Yep, it shouldn't have a email here. So I'm just gonna say validating, console.log validating, making sure we're calling the validate, and then console.log, let's console.log errors in there as well. Hit enter. Alright, doesn't look like we even call validate. So on the check mark, what am I calling? Oh, that's the problem. Well, no. I need to call on submit. I was calling handle save instead of calling the on submit function here, so that was what it was getting messed up by. Oops. Okay, pencil, remove, check. Cannot read property length of undefined. Where are we grabbing length? So the username is now going to be in values, so I'm just going to grab username comma email is equal to this dot state dot values, and so we can just do that, and then we can just do that, and I don't need to do that any longer. Cool. and pencil, remove that guy. Cool requires invalid email. My email at email.com. But look at that, I just removed my username. Save. Cool. So our form looks like it's working nicely now. Save. Let's make sure the save goes through. We see our weird junk that we just added. Let's say I delete the email. Oh, I want to keep the email. I cancel. Good. Our cancel is working nicely. Let's make sure our delete still works. It does. So cool. I think that everything works as we wanted to. I'm going to just get rid of these console logs because we don't need them anymore. We figured out everything that was going wrong. And now I'm curious why it's pushing over like this, because we copied and pasted. I think I'm just missing something. I'm missing this. I'm only missing this little check thingy. For whatever reason, we lose the check thingy. I'm mapping over the header. Maybe I just need a table row here. Row, column. I don't think this will help. At least in that sense. Did I misspell? Yep, I did. I think this will push it over. Yeah, it'll line it up at least, but for whatever reason. Now if I go to the React Dev Tools, I might be able to figure this out. Let's take a look. So here's our table. We can find one of the rows. Okay, so here's what a row looks like. So instead of a table row, it is now a form. And then it shows the table row. So here, I think what it might not like is that table row TD checkbox. Alright, I'm guessing it doesn't like that it has the form as the outer layer. So we're going to hack this real quick. And the way we're going to do that is, yeah. So with React, you can now return an array. So over here in our table, where we have our form, our inline form, I'm just going to wrap it with table row. Oops. Row. Table row. Okay. So now our inline form over here does not need a table row, and I'm going to set selectable to false as well. So now over here I don't need that, but now I can't just render like this, so we're going to render like so, a array. And so now I don't need that, I need commas. Give that a save. And I believe we need to add keys, and it's going to bark at us about keys. No, it doesn't warn about keys. Yeah, now it says keys. A valid React element must be returned. You must not return undefined. I'm guessing it doesn't like this thingy now, because we're returning multiple rows. If I set, I'm going to try doing a key here. So this is going to be the icon row column. And then I'm just going to comment this out and see what happens. See if it'll just at least render and not crash. Okay, it doesn't like that either. So render, we're returning an array. And in our array we have an object. I'm guessing that we're not using React. Yep, this was before we were using React 16. So I'm just going to say yarn add React to upgrade this. Oh, because I was expecting that to work just out of the box. So I believe this will upgrade us to React 16. Hopefully this doesn't break anything else. But now if I do npm start, I think it should be able to render that. It's going to take a second to boot up, and I'm just going to uncomment this because I believe this should work now. And we already have keys on this, so I think we're good. But notice how I had to add a key here because this is an array now. And module not found, can't resolve react.lib. I'm guessing it's because I'm going to remove my node modules and then just have it reinstall it with yarn. Additionally, what could be the problem is React DOM is a different version. So maybe yarn add React DOM as well. To upgrade this, I should just used NCU to upgrade everything. I believe though when we make these changes it should work, but again, you guys saw the main point of the video, getting it to work. So I'm just going to yarn real quick, getting it to work, canceling and adding. So good. npm start. I might just break this even more. If this is broken, what I'll do is there is a nice npm package that allows you to update all your React applications at once, and still doesn't like it, so I'm going to give this a try. So it's called NCU. So npm NCU. If you don't have this and you want to upgrade it just like me, you can come get it here. It's called npm check updates. If you run this command, you can grab it. I'm going to give this a try. NCU. What it does is it looks through your packages and it says which ones are out of date, and then you can do an update to all of them if you need to. So here it sees some stuff, looks like our React scripts and stuff were off. So now I'm going to do NCU. It also says you can update everything if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and update everything. This might break some of our ESLint stuff, but that's okay. And then I just like to run yarn, make sure everything is installed. And then we're going to do npm start again and see if that works. If not, I might have just broke it and we're just going to have to deal with an ugly form. And when this is done, I'll do npm start. And if I can't get this to work, I'll just revert it back and we'll just have our ugly inline form, which is not too big of a deal. But hopefully this does work. Okay, cool. So we're now able to render. That's a good sign. So now if I hit that, excellent. So now it looks normal like we expected. So I can hit save, I can cancel. We're still getting this warning. So that's index, table body, each channel array. I believe it doesn't like this thingy. Even though I'm adding a key to this, the outside, so I'm going to say const form rows is equal to this. And then I'm just going to append them in here, form rows, like that. So we're creating an array right here. We're mapping over, creating a bunch of columns, and I'm just adding those columns to our return value here. And I believe that should get rid of our, no, didn't get rid of the key prop change. Looks like it's something else, possibly. Maybe in our table it said 130. This mapping, oh, I need to add the key up here. So that's good. So if you wanted to, you can add, you don't have to do this extra thing I added because it looks like it was elsewhere that was having a problem with the key. I just assumed it was this page. Paste that sucker in, give it a save, add the comma back here, and everything hopefully works as expected with no warnings, or at least errors. We have a lot of definition for rules stuff. This is ESLint garbage that got messed up, but we don't have to worry about that. And cool, I hope you guys got the idea of how to edit, delete, and validate this stuff. So now we can just hit our check, make sure it's all good before we insert it, and we can just cancel now. Sorry this took so long to get the extra stuff set up, but I'll give you an idea if you ever run across these errors how to fix them. So thanks for watching, guys, and let me know if there's anything else you want to see with the table here.